Hey, what is going on, crypto people? Happy Thursday. Happy Talk That Talk Thursday. That's right. Maybe we'll get into a little hidden road and Ripple. Maybe we'll get into a little bit of that. Maybe we'll get into why is it that Ripple's found a use case for the Ripple dollar stablecoin, but just can't figure out one for XRP when it comes to hidden road. We'll get into that. We'll get into that as well. Maybe we'll do that and talk that talk Thursday. Yeah, happy Thursday again. Listen, this market is just cray cray in the streets. I'm going to cover this deep freeze on the XRPL. I believe it was Daniel who shared a very interesting thread on this deep freeze, and I think the amendment is it passed. I think it passed, but we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that as well. Deep freeze on the XRPL. Look, this market is cray cray right now, Jay Cohen. What's going on, bro? This market is cray. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Market is crazy, right? We'll go over the numbers. Refresh CoinGecko. Deep freeze on the XRPL. What the world? So Panos shared something very interesting about the XRP RLUSD liquidity pair. Says there was $18,000 in fees made in 24 hours. And that's interesting. But someone commented and actually did the numbers. And I don't know if you would think it's good or bad. I'm going to share those numbers of how much money you would have to have in the that liquidity pair to earn 8,050 cents a day, and what it would mean monthly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting. Um, it's interesting. So I know I've been in liquidity pools for far less than that made. Well, anyway, we'll share it. We'll share the numbers with you. Panos was excited about it. I actually commented on his post, like, what? $18,000 in fees in 24 hours? Yeah, interesting. $1,500 is, that's not a small amount to be in a liquidity pair. You got to evaluate for yourself whether that would be worth it or not. We'll go over those numbers. I refresh CoinGecko. We'll share that in a minute. Just want to welcome Jay Cohen and Rachel W. to the stream. How are you guys doing this morning or this afternoon? It's definitely an awesome day to be an early adopter. I can tell you that in this new asset class that is a digital asset space. Word on the street is the new SEC chair, Mr. Atkins, has been. It's done. It's a done deal. He got the nod. He got the blessing. Pro crypto person for sure. Really excited about having this regulatory head at the SEC being a pro crypto person because it's the new financial system. So Hidden Road, I did a video on it. I'm going to share some more of my thoughts on that since it is Talk That Talk Thursday. People are excited about Ripple, Schwartz, Long, Garlinghouse stating XRP and the XRPL. They've been stating XRP, XRPL for a minute now, as we like to say. What's come of it? So I'm not excited about that statement. I really am not. So we're going to get into some more of that, Rachel W. We're going to get into some more of that. It's Talk That Talk Thursday. And what we do on Talk That Talk Thursday, Rachel, is we talk about what might be going on outside of the digital asset space, but sometimes we talk about, kind of going deeper into what's going on that's in the digital asset space that is more than when mooned and is more than the price of an asset, right? And so I think this Hidden Road is a great example of that, where we can dive deeper into it and what it really means. And it means something to two different people. It means something to Ripple and its shareholders, and it means something to XRP and the XRP holders, right? So I'm gonna again, Jay Cohen, I think you were on. I shared an interview, thanks to Crypto Eddie. I shared a part of an interview with Monica Long announcing, or kind of publicly announcing, after the deal had been, inked, about Hidden Road. And I'm just telling you that 90 seconds of her answering the question, well, you know, you're talking a lot about the use case for RLUSD. This is what XRP was supposed to be doing. What say you? And this is in relation to the Hidden Road announcement. And I just got to tell you, I wasn't excited about her answer. I wasn't encouraged by her answer. This is the president of Ripple. I wasn't encouraged. So I'm going to share with you. In my view, it was just one big struggle from Monica Long. How it came off to me. But in any case, yeah, so we'll get into that as well. Go over this market, figure out what's going on. Flare Networks is give Flare Networks is talking about they're excited about XRP5. Flare Networks is excited about XRP5. Anyway, let's go over these numbers. We'll let some more people check into the stream. So we'll go over to CoinGecko, check out these numbers, and then we're going to kind of get into some stuff. This post from Daniel about this deep freeze on the XRPL is lengthy. So be prepared, get your favorite libation. It's pretty lengthy. I don't know why this thing is freezing up sometimes, but it just froze up again. Just froze up again. Like I feel like my internet is really, really good. Why is it freezing? And this was freezing for a long time. Freezing for a long time. All right, so let's share. That's fair. Um, go over to CoinGecko. All right, so I just refreshed this guy. So according to CoinGecko, the total cryptocurrency market cap is down. Well, it's 2.6 trillion in the last 24 hours, a half, 0.2% down. So 2.6 trillion. The Bitcoin dominance is 61% or so. Bitcoin is trading at $78,872 again. On the 30-day, it's down 3%. Ethereum is trading at $1,500 again. On the 30-day, Ethereum is down 22%, roughly. XRP is trading at $1.94 again. And on the 30-day, XRP is down 8.5%. Solana is trading at $108 again. On the 30-day, Solana is down 13%. Dogecoin is trading at 15 cents again. Word on the street is someone just filed for a Dogecoin ETF. I believe it's 21 shares. Now, I get them confused. Is 21 shares BlackRock's or is that Kathy Woods? I get them confused. A Dogecoin ETF. Let's go. A Dogecoin ETF. Ooh, the beloved Sui is trading at $2.07 again. And on the 30-day, it's down nearly 6%. That is the market, fam. And it is doing what the market does. You know what I can do here? Let me do something real quick. I think I am going to feel like, yeah. Well, I don't need to right now. If I need to, I'll do it. If I need to, I will do it. Let's see here. Let's get rid of this. Close this one. I can check that out later. And get rid of this one as well. So again, that's the market, family, and it is just doing what the market does. Let me check here real quick. And then we're going to go over this freeze, man. This freeze is interesting. This deep freeze is interesting. What we got going on here? J Corn says, and the AVAX one too, or at least an announcement. Yeah. Yep, indeed. ETFs, right? Absolutely. Dogecoin, heavy, J Corn, heavy a Dogecoin ETF. All right, so Daniel put out a post about this deep freeze, and he said this is an amendment that went under the radar He threw some shade at the XRP entertaining content creators. While in the post as well. We're going to share Joel Katz's vision for Hidden Road and XRP in a second. So Jungle Inc. shared this. Shout out to you, Jungle. I hope you're doing well, bro. Just real quick, Paul Atkins has been confirmed as the SEC chair. A new era for crypto begins. A new era for crypto begins. The United States Senate has officially confirmed Paul Atkins as the new head of the SEC in a 52-44 vote. Atkins, known for his pro-crypto stance, has made it clear building a regulatory framework for digital assets is his top priority. This marks a sharp pivot from the Gensler era with the SEC already. Reversing anti-crypto accounting rules, dropping high-profile enforcement cases, launching a dedicated crypto task force. Jungle goes on to say, but not everyone's celebrating. Senator Elizabeth Warren slammed Atkins for his past ties to FTX. That the hypocrisy in that lady runs abound, calling him a billionaire scammer enabler. Oh boy, she loves politics, man. I mean, she loves it. She has no shame in her game at all. No shame in her game at all. All right, let's get into this DeepFreeze thing. All right. Daniel's gotten his name tag on X, CEO of the XRPL. Oh, that's funny. CTO at Eminence. Anyway, big in the XRPL. He's a CTO. I don't know if he runs a validator or not. I forget which project is his main project, but this is interesting. DeepFreeze on the XRP ledger, a comprehensive examination. We need to discuss an amendment, says Daniel, that went unnoticed for a long time. DeepFreeze. If you are lazy to read, just watch the video. Okay? We're going to do both here. I mean, it's Talk That Talk Thursday. We got time. Eminence is already voting for its activation. And I urge my fellow node operators and the community to support it. Let's look at why. Welcome to a detailed examination of DeepFreeze, a transformative feature introduced to the XRP ledger. This amendment is critical for institutional asset management within the ledger ecosystem. In this analysis, we'll explore the full scope of DeepFreeze, its definition, technical architecture, institutional significance, community development, and long-term implications for XRPL's role in financial systems. This is a deep dive into a feature that could redefine blockchain compliance and adoption. What exactly is DeepFreeze? DeepFreeze is an advanced asset mechanism integrated into the XRPL, tailored explicitly for fungible tokens issued on the ledger, such as stablecoins and tokenized real-world assets. Unlike XRP, which remains unaffected due to its native status, issued tokens fall under the control of their issuers, who can now leverage DeepFreeze for unprecedented oversight. And that is the key. That's the key. This is what Ripple's excited about, that the ledger being compliant, being institutional grade, and having a country, a nation, a government hopping on that ledger, knowing that they can do that. But what I humbly say to you is, what does that mean for the XRP holder? Because Ripple can't seem to tell us what that means. What does that mean? If you can do 50, 60, $70 million transaction with less than one XRP, what does the volume of that transaction really mean? Anyway, I digress. So, all right. So, unlike XRP, which remains unaffected due to its native status, issued tokens fall under the control of their issuers, who can now leverage DeepFreeze for unprecedented oversight. The standard freeze, a pre-existing feature, restricts an account to only receiving tokens, preventing outward transfers. DeepFreeze, however, escalates this control by prohibiting both sending and receiving, effectively isolating the account from all token-related activities except direct transactions with the issuer. Interesting. Again, this is going to be a compliant laden blockchain for sure. According to the XRPL documentation available at xrpl.org, DeepFreeze requires the activation of the DeepFreeze Amendment, a network-wide upgrade voted on by XRPL validators. It cannot be applied if the issuer has set the no freeze flag on their account, a safeguard that permanently disables freezing capabilities for that issuer's tokens. It's important to understand that. People are going to come onto this chain and they're going to have a choice to do the deep freeze thing or no. But they do have the choice. Important to understand that. Let me read it again. Deep freeze requires the activation of the deep freeze amendment, a network-wide upgrade voted on by the XRPL validators. It cannot be applied if the issuer has set the no freeze flag on their account, a safeguard that permanently disables freezing capabilities for that issuer's tokens. They're going to have that choice and that option. And there are going to be people on that thing who welcome that and like, yeah, that's awesome for us and what we're doing. And if it's not, they'll put on the deep freeze thing for their business model. This layered design ensures flexibility while prioritizing compliance, making deep freeze a powerful tool for managing token ecosystems in regulated environments. The significance for institutions. The significance of deep freeze becomes evident when viewed through an institutional lens for financial entities such as central banks issuing central bank digital currencies or stablecoin providers like Ripple's RLUSD, Societe Generale Forges, EURCV, and Braza Bank's BBRL. This feature offers a robust mechanism to enforce regulatory compliance. Again, that's awesome and that's perfect and that's great. Wouldn't it be great to have these institutions on the XRPL? It'd be awesome to say it. It'd be awesome to prove the prowess of a blockchain that can move anything of value in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny. No blockchain is able to say it can do all three, anything of value, in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny. No blockchain has been able to say it, or else they would be saying it. So that's awesome for the ledger. Again, what does that mean for XRP holders? In my humble opinion, the value is going to come from other developers building other things on the XRP that fostered the demand for the native asset. And right now, the developers are in line in waiting for the necessary programmability to do some awesome stuff on the XRPL. It's not here yet. So we can rave all we want about institutions and the volume these institutions are going to bring. But again, I say to you, it's going to depend on how they're using the ledger as to whether or not it adds value to the XRP holder. And we're going to get into that more of that later. Consider a scenario where an account is identified on an international sanctions list, such as those maintained by the U.S. of Foreign Asset Control, OFAC. DeepFreeze allows the issuer to immediately halt all token activity for that account, preventing inflows or outflows that could violate anti-money laundering or know your customers regulations, right? You see the bigger picture is XRPL is being built out to be what's the word? Um uh uh what we used to say, a greater good or some other thing like that. Like it's going to be right up there of the top blockchains, 1, 2, 3. That the world of compliance, like banks, like nation states, right, major payment systems, where AML and KYC and all of that, boom, it's there. But and it just happens to be a chain that can move anything of value in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny. I mean, it's the dream come true scenario for major institutions. It really, really is. The ledger is a dream come true in the new financial system, better plumbing, better technology, right? All these different things, without question. All right, so yeah, I read that. Beyond sanctions, DeepFreeze addresses fraud mitigation. If a stablecoin issuer detects suspicious activity, a hacked account attempting to cipher funds, they can deep freeze it, stopping the damage while investigations unfold. A dev.to article underscores this utility, noting that the standard freezes limitation, allowing incoming transfers, falls short for high stakes compliance needs. Deep freeze total lockdown fills this gap, enhances security and trust. This capability could attract major regulated entities like Circle's issuer of USDC to deploy stablecoins on the XRPL, drawn by its compliance-ready infrastructure. Such adoption would increase token volume, liquidity, and the ledger's utility for RWA tokenization. Think real estate or commodities. Ouch. Positioning the XRPL as a leader in institutional blockchain applications. Circle might be interested in hopping on the chain because of features like this on the XRPL. It beats Ethereum for sure. Circle's on Ethereum because that's where the vast majority of builders and projects. Right? Remember, all these builders and projects, right? They want to be able to offer their customers, access to the stablecoin, right? But there's a lot of builders which have a lot of customers, and the reason why there's a lot of builders that have a lot of customers that want to use their product is because the builders have programmability to build stuff. We do not have that on the XRPL. It's coming. A measure of programmability is coming, but it's not here yet. Right? It's coming, but it's not here yet. So I always tell people all the time, look, the only thing we got is the moment we're in. All we got is this bull cycle. It's a long-term vision. It's a long-term vision. And again, I do credit Ripple and David Schwartz, I should say more so than anyone, for pivoting and acknowledging that he was wrong, that things could be done without abstracting away from the prowess of the XRPL. Right? He said that. But remember, this pivot was recent, within 2 years. So it's going to be a minute. It's going to take some time to get what I believe we as XRP holders want. All right, liquidity ledgers. All right, the technical mechanics. Let's examine okay. I'm trying to run through this. Let's examine the technical architecture underpinning DeepFreeze, which introduces specific flags to XRP ledger structure. These flags, detailed in the XRPL doc, govern trust lines, the bilateral agreement between accounts that enable token holding and enforce the freeze effects. Here's how they work. The is flow DeepFreeze flag is set on the Ripple state of, okay. That's too much. I don't want to read the technical stuff. All right, let's go down to this part. These flags have sweeping effects across XRPL operations. Payments to a DeepFreeze frozen account fail outright, with the transaction engine returning an error if the destination is locked. Rippling, where tokens pass through intermediary accounts, ceases for deep frozen trust lines, halting multi-hop transfers. This is a dream come true. I'm telling you, it's a dream come true. Dream come true for institutions, major banks, whatever it's a dream come true. The XRPL is really being built out to be a massive part of this new financial system. That is without question. It says on the decentralized exchange, the DEX and automated market maker systems offer create transactions involving a deep frozen take or pays token fail with a tech frozen error, and existing offers tied to frozen accounts are implicitly canceled when crossed by new offers, rendering them unfunded. The GitHub discussion on the XRPLF/XRPL standards, number 220, adds further nuance, noting impacts on check transactions, a feature for deferred payments. Check cash fails if and they're talking about check cashing. Check cash fails if the recipient's trust line is deep frozen, protecting against unauthorized redemption, though check create and check cancel remain unaffected. Preserving issuer flexibility, this granular control reflects DeepFreeze's design for precision and compliance. That's very, very good. It's very, 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 very good. When I think about these different things here, it reminds me kind of remember when we used to have the whole back and forth with Swift and the Swift system and Swift and the Swift system. This XRPL is just, it's just smashing that Swift system. And just smashing it. It is smashing it. Community development, says Daniel. The development of DeepFreeze highlights the XRPL's community's collaborative strength. Is that right? On August 26, 2024, Sean Z of Ripple initiated the XLS77D proposal in a GitHub discussion, accessible at the XRPL/XRPL standards 220. Spanning 6 comments and 7 replies, the thread reveals active engagement. One participant, we say when, of XRPL Labs, suggested renaming blackholing, disabling an account permanently to permafrosting, arguing it better conveys the frozen state's permanence and aligns with DeepFreeze's theme. Okay, so he offered a suggestion to rename something. This linguistic refinement, while minor, exemplifies the community's influence on usability. Okay, technical clarifications also emerged. The discussion distinguishes DeepFreeze from Global Freeze, which freezes all trust lines for issuer's token, noting that DeepFreeze targets specific trust lines for finer control. A question arose about rare cases where the standard TF set freeze might suffice, such as temporary holds, but the consensus favored DeepFreeze's comprehensive approach for most compliance needs. The proposal, now in draft status, was merged into the Ripple D software code base via a pull request from the XRP LF. Slant rippled 5187, number 5187, confirming its deployment readiness as of March of 2025, March 19, 2025. This milestone underscores XRPL's commitment to evolving through community-driven innovation. Okay. This is more on institutional impact. I thought I just read this. All right. So the institutional impact. From an institutional standpoint, DeepFreeze addresses critical. Well, before I read that, let me welcome some more people to the stream, if there are any. Pookie's in the building. What's going on, my guy? How are you? Mixed. Everyone's fingers are not working today. What's going on, mixed? Joe Betty says, we're cool, CJ, but I am in the opposite camp of who will bring value to XRP. I say it will be the industrials, not the 7 individual developers. I think, okay, I think you're saying you think it's going to be the institutions that are going to bring value to XRP. Yeah, sure. We can agree to disagree. I am Team Ripple over Team. I am Team Ripple over Team XRP Dev. Oh, I got you. I got what you're saying. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I hear you, bro. And the only thing I'll say is, like, we'll see which one it's going to be. Like, I don't know for sure, right? I'm just what I'm going by what I've seen in the digital asset space up until this point. But I don't know the definitive thing. I asked the question of David Schwartz. He hasn't answered. He hasn't responded. He generally will respond, but he has not. He has not responded. But yeah, the awesome thing is we're going to see, right? So and we'll talk about that more when the deep hidden road thing gets done. We're going to see. We're going to see what is going to really. I keep hearkening back to conversation and a post on X about the volume in transactions only needing a minimal amount of XRP. I keep going back to that for some reason. I don't know why, but I keep going back to that. The first one was way back yonder when the XRP fund guy, Michael something is his name. I forget his name. Said he did the $50 or $60 million transaction and only used this amount of XRP, right? I keep going back to that because ultimately I think the value for XRP is going to come from just demand for the asset, right? Creating demand for the asset. I think that's ultimately the thing. And let's see if the institutional drive and the institutional volume is going to create that demand. Alex Jeet, what's going on, bro? How are you, brother? Be safe on those roads. Are you on the road? Be safe on those roads, man. All right, let's get back to this article. Appreciate you guys checking in. Do me a favor and hit that like button on the way in. That'd be super cool. If you didn't do it yet, no worries. Just collapse the chat real quick. Go smash the like, and then come back and hang out with the CryptoCeej and family. Appreciate that. All right, let me get back to this post. This post is interesting from Daniel. Daniel. Have you seen this post, Pookie? All right, so the institutional impact, says Daniel. From an institutional standpoint, DeepFreeze addresses critical gaps in the standard freezes functionality. The dev.to article explains that the older mechanism, while useful, permitted incoming transfers and balance adjustments, rendering it inadequate for scenarios requiring total isolation, such as sanctions enforcement or fraud containment. DeepFreeze ability to block all activity offers a superior solution tailored to the demands of regulated finance. Considers applications. A stablecoin issuer like Ripple could deep freeze an account suspected of laundering funds, halting its operations pending review. These are big things. That's not a small thing. A tokenized real estate platform could use it to secure assets during legal disputes, ensuring no unauthorized transfers occur. For sanctions, it ensures compliance with global frameworks, preventing tokens from reaching blacklisted entities. These are big deals. These are important things. These use cases enhance the XRPL's appeal to institutional players, potentially drawing Circle's USDC or other major stablecoins to the ledger. The ripple effect, pardon the pun, could be substantial. Increased institutional adoption would boost token issuance, like Circle, USDC, trading volume, and liquidity. Reinforcing XRPL's infrastructure for real-world asset tokenization. This aligns with broader trends in blockchain finance, where compliance-ready platforms are increasingly favored by traditional institutions seeking to integrate digital assets. That's a big one right there. That's a big, 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 big one right there. Conclusion and implications from Daniel. In conclusion, DeepFreeze represents a strategic leap forward for the XRP ledger, harmonizing technological sophistication with regulatory necessity by equipping issuers with comprehensive control over their tokens. It addresses the compliance and security needs of institutional users, from stablecoin providers to asset tokenizers. Big, 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 big. As of March 19, 2025, its technical implementation is mature, its community support robust, and its potential to drive XRPL adoption is undeniable. This is the thing that we want. Network adoption. That's the thing we need for the ledger, going up and to the right of the network adoption curve. It's important. It's important. Looking ahead, DeepFreeze could position the XRPL as a premier blockchain for regulated financial applications, bridging the gap between decentralized innovation and centralized oversight. Its success will depend on validator adoption of the DeepFreeze amendment and real-world uptake by institutions. Yes, a process already underway. For a deeper understanding, refer to the XRPL documentation, the dev.to article, and the GitHub discussions linked below. Yeah. DeepFreeze is more than a feature. It's a foundation for the XRPL's future in institutional finance. How do you envision its impact on the blockchain landscape? Your perspectives are welcome. P.S. This is by far the most exciting amendment since XLS 20. But of course, your average influencer doesn't talk about it in his paid group or while he is siphoning your donations. Unfollow them today. Oh, that's funny. He's not holding any punches there. Not holding any punches on that one, Pookie. Not holding any punches at all. Driving, CJ, picks up and delivery 10 hours a day. I hear you, brother. I hear you. Be safe on the roads, my guy. So that's an interesting write-up there, don't you think? It's very well put together. Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely put together. That's pretty good, right? So I guess the $64 trillion question is going to be, Will institutional adoption of the XRPO bring value to the XRP holder? That's the question. That's the thing I'm interested in. I'm not excited about making Hidden Road a better prime broker. I'm just not. I'm not. I'm interested in the XRP holder and the digital asset holder. That's what I'm interested in. Until these institutional players and prime brokers like Hidden Road become more interested in us. All right, so that was very good, Daniel. Thank you for sharing that, my friend. Let me share this thing here real quick from Panos. This is Panos saying putting out some stuff here, which is interesting. Okay, this is very, very interesting to me. 18,000 plus in trading fees have been generated in the last 24 hours. Trading fees, okay, in which you would get, so this is fees on trading fee. All right, so the XRPL Ripple Dollar pool and earned by the liquidity providers. 24 hours in the pool and earned by liquidity providers. Don't get left behind, and don't forget to use Antidote's finance. All right, so I said what? No response. Someone wants to know how to get into a liquidity pool. Someone asked the question, how would you get left behind? Can't you do it at any time? He says, well, if you are already positioned, then you earn the fees in high activity periods. So yesterday was a day with big volume, but sure, you can get in anytime. It's interesting that yesterday was a day of big volume. Liquidity pool pairs, entering them generally is a long-term game plan, 6-9 months, over a year or more, if you're in the right asset pairs and if you understand the fundamental rules for entering a liquidity pair. All right, so someone said something here, and this guy's been a guy talking about Flare. Game theorist at Flare Bank, FLR Bank. All right, so this is something he put out, these numbers. The math on LPs is, users would need to hold massive amounts of the total share to make good money from the LP. Total LP tokens, according to XRP Scam, is 2 billion. Plus, when you factor in the impermanent loss during huge pumps in a volatile crypto slant stablecoin LP, the numbers go down. He's got holding. 1 million LP tokens, holding 10 million LP tokens. So holding 1 million LP tokens nets you 8,050 cents a day. Holding 10 million is $85 a day, and holding 100 million LP tokens is $850 a day. So Panos uses the smaller number and says that holding just 1 million tokens is $1,500 in a liquidity pair. Not that bad for generating $8.05 daily. It's not that bad, but it ain't great. $1,500. And the numbers will increase. So is it bad? Not, but you got $1,500 being this liquidity pool. Again, the number one factor, Rachel W, in a liquidity pair are the assets. If you go 100% in XRP, will you be good? If you go 100% into RLUSD, will you be good? Right? So for me, I would be good. The next question is, what am I earning in fees? Is it XRP? Is it stable coins? This is the dollar. And then the next question is, what am I doing with the fees? You gotta have a strategy. It's not just being in the pair, right? And again, just on a side note, so people will understand. Let me do this again here. Here's the post from Panos. I'm sorry. I apologize. I forgot to share it. Here's the $18,000 in fees in 24 hours from being in the XRP RLUSD pool. Someone noted that the LP is not great. All things considered, you'd have to have 1 million LP tokens to make that $8.50 a day, which means, and Panos is saying, well, that 1 million LP tokens is $1,500. He says that's not that bad for generating $8.50 a day. And that's what, if you do 30 days, it's $255. I think it's $263 a month. right? So again, what are you earning? Are you earning XRP, right? If you're earning XRP in these pools and not just stable coins, that would be awesome. But even if you're earning the stable coins, what's your strategy after that? It's like being in DeFi and liquidity pairs and pools. It's a strategy. It's just not earning fees. It's what are you doing with those fees? What's the strategy after? It's a comprehensive thing. It's not just this, oh, I'm earning passive income. Yeah, but what are you doing with it? What are you doing? You got a strategy? What are you doing with it? You got it's a comprehensive 360 view, if you will. But that's interesting. I don't know, $1,500. Yeah, I don't know. I will say this is probably gonna, change. It could get better. Um, but being in this liquidity pool is definitely a long-term gain. I had some issues with certain UI and UXs trying to get into the liquidity pair. I was not excited about the comparison of total liquidity and 24-hour volume. I wasn't excited about that, but that looks like that has changed. Um, I will say this, that DeFi and liquidity pairs and right liquidity pairs is a long-term gain. It's not they're checking. It's not checking it every 30 days, even though you want to check it. Right? It's a long-term deal. It's it's being willing to be in the right liquidity pair on the right blockchain, the XRPL, right, for a long period of time. That's really the deal with a portion of your valuable assets. Not, I got 1,000 XRP. I'm going to put all 1,000 of my XRP into a liquidity pair. No, 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 no. Right? So it's a full strategy. But that was interesting that Panos brought that up. Um, Let me share this thing from Flare. See if I can find it for you guys first. Daniel's thing was really good. Paul Atkins. Let me see. Flare talking about XRP Fi is interesting. Paul Atkins, new CEO. All right, that's one. There was another thing I wanted. Okay. Let me share it. This is from the X Spaces that Hugo just recently did with Vet. I'll let you take a listen to it, but I'm going to read this real quick. Ripple buying a prime broker is exciting. You know what else could be cool? A decentralized prime broker on Flare. Imagine using protocol managed wallets to custody assets. Safe compute powered by TEEs, trusted execution environments, to assess risk and prevent exploits. Flare 2.0 is unlocking limitless possibilities. Take a listen here. Vast compute. What is missing in DeFi? What is missing in the space? And one of the things that is really missing is a decentralized prime brokerage function. One of the things prime brokers do is they extend margin to traders against their existing position. So you might have a large amount of Tesla stock, and you might go to your prime broker and say, hey, I really want to buy, I don't know, IBM. Not sure why you would, but whatever. I need to borrow against Tesla stock. Prime broker will assess the risk of the Tesla stock and lend you some margin and set margin levels where you get liquidated and all this kind of stuff. If this doesn't exist as a crypto protocol, as a decentralized protocol, it obviously is a huge thing in traditional finance, and that's what Ripple purchased. They purchased a traditional finance prime broker. But it'd be kind of cool if it was a protocol, but it can't be a protocol today. First thing you need for it to be a protocol is protocol managed wallets. The second thing you need is vast compute. You need vast compute because you need to be able to assess the risk of
the various different assets that people would be willing to essentially extend margin to. Well, but you also need that compute such that if you're offering this as a product in a decentralized way, someone can't come in and change that compute and suddenly apply zero risk to Fartcoin, enabling a large amount of money to be lent to people that want to take Fartcoin positions, when it should only be less than 1% of that money should be lent to people that want to take Fartcoin positions. So the question is, how do you get a very large amount of compute, but make it safe so that it can't be altered? And this is where we're going with TEs. So we're building protocol managed wallets so that it can hold assets. And we're going with TEs in the direction of, I want to be able to run really complex models, really complex risk models, really heavy compute, applications, and I want to be able to do this in a way that I can't, you can't be rugged. And so this then, join those two things together, safe compute and protocol managed wallets, then you can build a totally decentralized prime broker, and that's kind of really interesting.
I agree 100% with that. 100%. I think that is the way that we all want. Again, just to understand something. The traditional laws and traditional finance is not set up for you and I to win. The laws are pretty what they are. Maybe we get those laws changed and I can lean a little bit more into what an institution is going to be doing. But until we get them changed, I just can't. Because the laws, in the event of a disaster, the laws favor the institutions over the retail person, the customer of the institution. So, and I'm just not for that. And by the way, in the event of a disaster, it could literally mean someone goes rogue at Hidden Road. I don't know. Do people go rogue at companies? Right? Do you know how what is that thing called? The SIM attacks. Cellular SIM attacks. Do you know how those happen? Do you know how SIM attacks happen? A person at a cellular company like AT&T goes rogue. It can't happen any other way. Right? This is why the whole idea of the decentralization thing is key. You just kind of eliminate, if you will, that part of it. No one sets out and builds out a thing like Hidden Road, massively successful, and then to do ill will, right? They're coming to the market to do good, right? They're coming to the market to do good. Built out an awesome thing, quote unquote, the trusted intermediary in traditional finance with over 300 plus institutional clients. What if someone goes rogue? What if someone does something they shouldn't be doing? Because those things happen. People make mistakes. People do things that they shouldn't do. Blah, 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 blah. It could be something that is outside of the company, Hidden Roads, and that affects Hidden Road. And current laws do not protect you and I. But in the digital asset space of decentralization, I'm more covered than not covered. I always give the example, Rick, and I think it's just a massively, it's so simple, but it makes a huge point. I'm in DeFi with my XRP. I'm in CeFi with my XRP. Celsius and the D app, I won't mention the name, but DeFi. Right? The world was coming to an end. Bitcoin's going down. It was a crazy thing. It was crazy. It affected both platforms, right? Bitcoin tanks, it affects everyone. Black Swan event, it affects everyone, right? Liquidations, it affects everybody. Everyone's involved. If everyone's affected. The centralized CeFi with customer service, 24 hours with the CEO and a VP and a VP of marketing and a CFO harmed its customers. And then when I say harmed, oh yeah, we're not accepting deposits right now. The app's not working. Oh yeah, you can't meet your liquidation. The app's not working, but don't worry. The DeFi, I didn't get a call. I didn't get an email like I did in the CeFi situation. Both a call and an email. Well, I called, they answered. The DeFi thing is, these are your numbers. This is your liquidation. If you hit it, game over, buddy. But if you meet it, game's still on. We're still happily married. No questions answered. No questions asked. Met the liquidation. XRP is good. Centralized entity, because of one or two people doing stuff that they were not supposed to be doing, it affected the retail. And then the company, like Hidden Road, was able to apply for or file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. And that protection protects the company, the CEO, the board people, all them dudes. And it awards your assets to them. It's the current law. Now, it's being thrown around in Congress to change it. Hasn't changed. That's TradFi. And to me, TradFi is about protecting TradFi. Not and leveraging retail, and it leverages retail. That's just a simple example. So with that being the case, with Nexo and BlockFi and Celsius, Gemini, don't forget about the Gemini deal as well, right? The Genesis, don't forget about that as well. Harmed investors, protected. They were protected by Chapter. They had Chapter 11 or 7 bankruptcy protection. Not the individuals, not the retail. The laws are screwed up. It doesn't allow for our protection. Just like the Uniform Commercial Code, Articles 8 and 9, that says that your stuff is not your stuff. If you can't hold it, you do not own it. That's a law. That's not a theory. It's not a hypothetical. Rick Cisneros is in the building. How are you, my friend? CJ, Hidden Road is work in progress for Ripple Labs. I want to see RWA and tokenization. Then they can wrap those assets to bar and lend, gaming LP tokens. Gaining LP tokens here is where developers need to come in. Yes, sir. That's exactly it. We need to hook up on a podcast, bro. Me and you, Rick. You're exactly right. You and I, me and you. Right? Hook up. That's exactly right. That's the goal, right? That's why I commented on David Schwartz's post. And I said, it depends on the type of activity. Don't just be throwing me out some volume. Don't just be throwing out volume numbers to me. Tell me about the activity that's going to take place. Share what it could look like. Monica Long did not do that, bro. She had a chance to share the possibilities for the use case of XRP. She didn't do it. Rick, did you see that interview? Were you on when I shared that? Were you on, Rick, when I shared that? But you're, bro, you were so, you're absolutely spot on. You're spot on with that. But RWAs and the LPs and the developers eventually need to come in. This is exactly right. Right? It's a thing that's coming. Both things can happen. Institutional adoption of the XRPL and developers coming on that feature retail, right? Right? Developers and the projects that feature retail as the customer, as opposed to institution. Both can happen. Both can happen for sure. I'm not sold on institutional volume making a difference to the XRP holder. I'm not sold on that. We'll see. We're going to see what it looks like. I'm just not sold on that. I always said, I did a stream the other day, Rick. I was like, there's two philosophies. Ripple has a philosophy for institutional DeFi. Flare has one. Has a philosophy for institutional DeFi. I lean towards Flare's philosophy because it leans into true decentralization, security, and scalability. Ripple's doesn't. You know, making a post about the promise of Hidden Road becoming a better Hidden Road, becoming a better TradFi company because it's on chain doesn't do it for me. I want DeFi and the idea behind the true crypto ethos to get better. True decentralization, true security, and true scalability in a trustless manner. Remember, the name of the game for Wall Street and TradFi has been intermediaries. We can just siphon the fees. One level intermediary after another level intermediaries after another level intermediaries, just siphoning your hard-earned pay. So let me see if I can't find that little thing from. Well, let's not. Let's see if I can find it. I wasn't excited about it. Monica Long being interviewed, just I'm like, that wasn't great. Let me see where would I have saved that? Let's see. My guy Jungle Ink's killing the game. Uh, Charles Hoskinson is doing an airdrop, a midnight airdrop or some kind of thing like that. Liquidity incentive event. It's more than what Ripple's doing in terms of liquidity incentive event. You guys hear about that? they're doing a an airdrop. I may have to go to my post because I posted the video. Yeah, because I can't find it here. Crypto Eddie shared the full 20-minute. I think it was like a 20-minute interview. My gosh, I got so much stuff saved. Let's see. I have it. I posted it. I said something. Here it is right here. All right. Full interview with Monica Long, CEO of Ripple, announcing the acquisition of Hidden Road. Source Crypto Eddie. Minute 5:55 to minute 7:37 is, dare I say, interesting for XRP holders. Take a listen. Let me get to it. Either 5:55. All right, so I think this is. He asked the question just about right here.
An XRP, because traditionally it was XRP that was used or used in some of your products in terms of cross-border transactions to make that faster and quicker and for the liquidity, etc. So why can't you just do that with the RUSD rather than requiring XRP at all?
Yeah, so we've always been believers in a multi-chain, multi-token future. And so we think that different tokens and different chains, for that matter, are useful at different times for different use cases. Let's take XRP first. XRP is the native asset to the public blockchain, the XRP ledger. So inherently it has a use case in terms of gas fees, as well as, for reserve accounts. So
This is the, I'm trying to be nice here. He's asking about what about the use for XRP? And she said gas fees and the reserve for opening up a new wallet. We're talking about hidden road and their billions and 3 trillion a year thing.
that will always be there. And the more that the ledger is used by more developers, more end users, you see demand for that token going up. In addition, a really novel thing about XRP was, as the ledger was created, it had a decentralized exchange built into it. And so trades within that decentralized exchange that don't have immediate liquidity between them auto bridge through XRP. So this is where we've talked about it as a real bridge asset. And even beyond the Ripple payments use cases, so within our payments product, by the way, we still do use XRP as well as stable coins. And it kind of depends on the customer's use case and what's most efficient. I will say, yes, we see a lot of growth within stable coins for our payments product this year. But, as more types of developers build products, either within the XRP ledger ecosystem or other chains, this DEX feature and using XRP for liquidity will be a bigger and bigger use case.
So we spoke.
So, I left away or uninspired by that response to that question. Maybe that's just me, but maybe others were inspired by it, but I was uninspired by that answer. For sure, developers are, in my view, developers are in line waiting, right? They're in line waiting. Why would you not be? You can offer your customer something that's going to move in 3 to 5 seconds and cost less than a penny. Why wouldn't you be in line? Like, why wouldn't you? But the programmability is not there, which means the developers are not there. They're in line, but they're not there. I believe, for me personally, I believe the value to the XRP holder is going to come sooner from Flare Networks and what they're building out than from RippleX Dev and what they are building out. I believe that. We'll see, but that's what I believe. And ultimately, that's what I'm about. I'm about the digital asset holder, not Ripple the company, not Flare Labs the company, the holder of these assets. I don't know how we're going to get that airdrop. Jay Corn is asking how Cardano's Charles Hoskinson is talking about some airdrop. He just said that if you held these, I don't know if he said you got to hold it on Cardano though. He just said if you hold it, you can't hold XRP on Cardano, can you? Because he said if you hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, you're going to get some airdrop. I don't know how they're going to do this airdrop, but that's what he said in that little thing there. What's going on, Vishal? How are you, my friend? Does Songbird count? Yeah, Songbird counts. So that's why I left that, that view of that video there uninspired. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button on the way in, man. That would be super, super cool. We always like to have just as many likes as we have viewers in the stream. Felt like she was struggling to come up with some use case. How is it that you already figured out that you can, use the RLUSD as collateral, but you haven't figured out anything yet for XRP in this in-road thing? Rick says Nels is coming up with something. He came up with something. Rick Snell says, I think we need to wait. Remember, the EVM sidechains are coming on the XRPL. Yep. Here is where their XRP Labs is keeping quiet, I think you said, and not revealing their strategies, but they are going to offer DeFi to institutions. Yeah, someone else said that too about kind of keeping quiet with the strategy. So we'll see. Yes, the XRPL EVM sidechain is getting closer and closer and closer to being live. And I'm excited for it. I really want to see. Here's what I think is going to happen, Rick. Developers and projects from other chains are going to recognize the prowess of this XRPL and the liquidity and the community of the XRP community. I believe, but that's not an institution. But I do believe that these other chains or projects on other chains like Optimism and Arbitrum, okay, for example, right, layer twos on Ethereum. I think, and there's a lot of projects on Arbitrum, by the way. I believe that they recognize and understand the prowess of the XRPL, the liquidity, and the community. And if they can figure out a way to tap into that, they are going to tap into that. And it will probably be by way of the XRPL EVM sidechain. And while they're doing that, RippleX's dev is working on programmability, in the coming months, 18 months. I don't see anything for 2025 personally, but sometime maybe in 2026 we get that. Remember, he's doing a tiny, they've already announced who they're picking and what kind of, not who, but the technology they're going to be using to provide that, that little bit of programmability. So, and they're working on that. They're working on that. So, but I do think that projects in other ecosystems, when they heard about the XRPL EVM sidechain thing, I think their ears perked up a bit because they understand the massive liquidity here. They understand that big time, and they understand that there's a big community, right? The XRP Army community, and so they understand that as well. Some are trying to kind of leverage the community without really bringing a viable product. But I do think when this EVM sidechain goes live, because I believe, remember Rick when, oh no, I must have shared it with you guys. I was on the spaces with the guy from Omni, the Omni network. What's his name now? I was on the spaces with him, and I asked him a question, and he mentioned, because he kept saying that he's getting phone calls from developers and projects about the XRPL, about the RLUSD. Right. So there are people and projects and developers waiting to tap in. Right. They're waiting to tap in. And because I asked them specifically, what are you talking about here? Projects, developers? Yeah. He said, yeah. They're waiting to tap into that RLUSD stablecoin because it's liquidity from XRP. Right. So they'll figure out a way to tap into liquidity again. And again, if they're able to tap into the value of moving anything of value, the promise of moving anything of value in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny. If they're able to tap into that, and now this is something they can offer their customers or get new customers, right? XRP people, they're going to tap into it. You know what I mean? So I believe they're going to tap into that for sure. So I forget, what is the guy's name from Omni? Austin King. So people are, he kept stating how people were excited about RLUSD from, from other communities, other products and builders, which means, XRPL. So it's going to be interesting to see what that's going to look like when this XRPL EVM sidechain goes live. It's going to be interesting to see how that works and when it's going to go live. I guess it's pretty close. I think someone said in the spaces that the Pierces people and or the Ripple people, I'm not sure which one, was like, this is weeks to a month away, like, a couple of weeks to a month away from going live, right? Because it's testnet right now. So it's going to be interesting to see. For me, I'm a long-term XRP holder. It's a long-term deal for sure. Yeah, it's a long-term deal for sure. And we're going to see what's going to happen. But I do think that the value to the XRP holder is going to come first from Flare than from RippleX. But we'll see. We'll see what this XRPL EVM sidechain is going to be, what that's going to be like. Keep quiet and not revealing their strategies, but they're going to offer DeFi to institutions. Yeah. I mean, they call it institutional DeFi, for sure. But wouldn't it be nice if we could get some liquidity pairs with millions and millions of dollars of value in it and $1 million in 24-hour volume in a liquidity pair? $1 million. I think I did see 740. I think I saw 3 million in value in liquidity and 740,000 in 24-hour volume, which is not bad. Rick Cisneros says Midnight from Cardano appears to be revolutionary in terms of KYC and credentials. I definitely want the dark token airdrop. It's called dark token, Midnight dark token. Yeah, me too. I want it too. Do you know what it is, if anything, people have to do to be able to get that airdrop, Rick? Because I don't. Do you know what, if anything, someone needs to do to be able to get that airdrop? I did make a comment about taxes. I did make a comment about taxes. Do you know, Rick? I'm trying to see if someone responded. David Schwartz responded. No. Maybe they're trying to keep their plan close to chest, as they say. Someone else said that. I think the real big Will said that as well, Rick. That Ripple was kind of keeping that kind of strategy to themselves, and maybe that's why she didn't say anything or say enough. So I don't know about the midnight thing and how that airdrop is going to happen. But for 37 million is I guess that's the value. They're going to airdrop $37 million of this dark token, or is it 37 million dark in value? So is it $37 million worth of dark token? I don't know how you can do that as an airdrop, or is it just 37 million? It has to be 37 million of these tokens are going to go out. There's no value yet, right? It's airdrop. So yeah, I'm there for it for sure. But I did make a comment. Someone was saying I'm there for it, but I'm like, yeah, but what about taxes? It's an inside joke for XRP holders for sure. All right, fam, there it is. Thank you so much for hanging out today. I appreciate you guys being here. Vishal, thank you. Pookie, appreciate you guys checking in. Rick Cisneros and Jay Corn, I appreciate you guys being in here for sure. Alex, she checked in. Appreciate you being here. Joe Buddy, Rachel, appreciate you being here. Miss, for sure, it's a really, really cool hang on Talk That Talk Thursdays. Let me know in the comments what you think about the vision and future. Do you think that institutions coming to the XRPL is going to bring more value to the XRP holder than projects and or developers building different products, dApps on to the XRP. Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear from you guys. Appreciate it. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to end this. Oh, do me a favor, hit the like button on the way out if you didn't get a chance to do so on the way in. And if you happen to be in that 55% or so of people that are hanging out, listening to and watching the CryptoCeej, do me a favor. If you've been enjoying those hangouts, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're in a mad dash to get to 9,000 subs by the end of this month. And I know we can get there, especially with your help. And don't forget to ring that notification bell, baby, so that you know whenever we go live or whenever we upload a video. I'm going to end this video like I do all my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. But that's okay, though, because you and I, we're already winning. And I would ask you to consider this or perhaps ponder the idea or notion of living your life permissionless. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.